suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Wolfman's got Nards!
Scream 3 is a 2000 horror movie directed by Wes Craven, and it stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette. Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Scream 3 as part of my Scream movie reviews. While Sydney visits the Hollywood set of Stab 3, the third film based on the Woodsboro murders, another Ghostface killer rises to terrorise them. So it's the year 2000 and at the time this is the concluding chapter of a trilogy. Randy mentions that in this movie. Now that's something I kind of like about this film, where we get old characters coming back and we get some side characters also getting a part in it as well. So we've got Randy coming back because of the VHS tape, and then you've got Cotton Weary back as well, who wasn't really a main character at all. He was hardly in Scream 1, he was only on TV, and then he had a bigger role in Scream 2 and he had a bit of a role in Scream 3. So I like that Wes Craven still brings back some characters the best way that he can. And for the very first time, this is also the first adult Scream movie. There's no teenagers in this one, there's no school, there's no college. That might be something that hinders the movie because it is a teen slasher series after all. And when it gets to Scream 3, it almost feels, because there's no teenagers that Ghostface is after, it almost feels like this Hollywood movie, and it looks and feels like a big budget Hollywood movie, and that takes away the feeling that I had for the first two Scream movies. Something that I love about the Scream films is the Ghostface killer doesn't change his look. That's fine because they run around in a Ghostface costume and we don't know who the killer is until near the end of the movie. Same thing happens in this one. The only issue I had with Ghostface in this one was the voice changer. Now, at the time I thought it was pretty cool that they could mimic anyone's voice. I think that makes it harder to catch the killer and harder to guess who the killer is as an audience, but it also cheats the audience as well into thinking we're never going to find out who the killer is until the big reveal. And I think that was the case in this movie, and I'll get into that later on. But with the voice changer, I think it was a little bit too high tech for a grounded slasher movie. Just like Scream 2, the acting was great, but Sydney, played by Neve Campbell, there was something off about her. Now I'm not saying she's a terrible actress because she was fantastic in Scream 1, but there's something about her performance in Scream 2 and also Scream 3 that I just couldn't really get behind. I think it's almost like she was a wooden character and she couldn't be bothered to reprise her role as Sydney. Now, not everyone will agree. I think a lot of people love Sydney Prescott, and she is great for the most part, but there was something lacking with her performance in Scream 3. It could be the lack of screen time that she had, because I think this one, she was in the movie the least out of all the movies, but there's just something about her performance in this one that I just couldn't get behind. Something that freaked me out when I first seen this movie was seeing Sydney's mum, the ghost mum outside her window. That creeped me out, but watching it again and again, it reminded me of movies like Paranormal Activity or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 with the white horse. It just doesn't really belong in a Scream movie. It's a grounded slasher movie, and when you put paranormal aspects to it, it just takes me out of the movie. Now of course it's just a dream and that's fine, but don't put too many of those dreams in or too many thoughts of that, because it kind of takes me out of the movie. It was great for its time, but it's a little dated when you watch it now. Now I know that Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson love their meta in movies, and I do too. And I love the meta points in Scream 1 and Scream 2. But with Scream 3, I think it was a little too meta. They were mentioning actresses, actors all the time. Actors and actresses that also played parts in movies with the characters that we're looking at on screen. We've got Carrie Fisher playing someone who looks like Carrie Fisher. It was too much for me. Some of it was fun, but I was a little bit overbearing. Now let's talk about the killer, Roman. I think this is the weakest so far in the series, and the main reason is Sydney didn't even know who Roman was. Sydney didn't even know Roman existed. So I think the audience was a little cheated on this one, because the killer was revealed to be Sydney's brother, and there was never any hints of Sydney having a brother. There was never any interaction between Sydney and Roman either. So Sydney looked surprised that the killer was Roman, but at the same time she had no idea who he was. So I felt like it was a little cheating. It's sort of similar to Friday the 13th from 1980. You've got Pamela Voorhees who pops up at the end of the movie and says, "Surprise, I'm the killer." And I'm like, well, we're trying to guess who the killer is, and we would never guess that because we'd never saw you as a character. Same with Roman. Although Roman was in the movie, Sydney never interacted with him, so Sydney never had that chance to guess who the killer was either. So I feel like Sydney was cheated more than us as an audience. And when the killer was revealed, I think it was silly how he was revealed, because Roman wore glasses all the way through the movie. And I remember when he took the mask off, he never had his glasses on, and I thought, who's that? And I went, oh god, it's Roman. And I felt surprised, but I also didn't feel surprised. I felt more let down than anything. I think his motives behind killing was lame. That's probably a childish thing to say, but his motives were terrible. The fact that they screwed a little bit with Scream 1 as well, I didn't like. And then after he finished his big speech to Sydney, Sydney didn't question it. She just believed everything that he said. Yeah, it's probably true. Everything's true in the movie, but she sat there thinking, oh, yep, don't know who you are, but I believe everything you say, and you're now my brother. And after she kills him, she gives him a little handhold as if, yep, you've died, my brother, but you're still dead. I'd be like, I don't know if you're my brother. You're probably just a psychopath because you're trying to emulate the previous Ghostface killers. I'll kill you just now and I'll ask questions later. After the big ending, the big trilogy ending, it then cuts to a nice happy ending where Dewey proposes to Gail, and Sydney feels like she can leave her door open now, and then when her door does open by accident, she doesn't care. It's the end of the movie, it's the end of the trilogy, and that's it. We obviously know it's not the end, but at that point, it was supposed to be the end. It was a nice ending to a trilogy, because we don't really get that many happy endings to movies or trilogies. So at that time, it was maybe a nice and fresh ending because that was the end. But at the end of the day, I just think that even though this movie came out 2.5 years after part 2, it's possibly still rushed. It felt like a rushed movie. Maybe not a rushed movie in the way that it was made, but a rushed script, because it's almost like they backed themselves into a corner to try and link the killer to Sidney Prescott when they could have easily just done a copycat killer. Don't know how that would have went, but it might have been a little bit better so they didn't have to mess around with the killers in Scream 1. I think it's important to keep everything as it is, and Wes Craven done that for the most part, but overall I think Scream 3 was a little rushed. So what are your thoughts on Scream 3, guys? I know that it's considered one of the worst movies in the franchise. Some people do like it, some people don't. I'm not a massive fan of it, let's put it that way, but I still do like it, I still do enjoy it. But what are your thoughts, guys? Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.